I would like to start off by stating that the cases in the cases that the affirmative presented were not that compelling. For example, one of the cases where they said GMOs are unsafe and pose a risk to health, their evidence that they have presented are not that compelling. For example, they did not, in any of these cases that they have presented, they did not state the sample size of these experiments or the percentage of harm, such as cancerous cells that these rats, or pigs in these experiments were harmed. For example, one of the cases that they said was that GMO tomatoes caused 7 rats to die. Out of what sample size? Out of what percentage of these rats? They did not say. Now, one of these cases that they have presented was the famous case of Monsanto with BT maize and how they cause cancerous tumors in rats. This is a really good case that proves to be, it is a really good case that cannot be used for the affirmative side, because they did not state this case, the name of this case, but this study was actually conducted by Sarah Meany in 2011. You can see her research science journal from Research on Sustainable Food.Trust. According to Forbes magazine, this is not a very good study because one of the major problems was that 10% of the rats were the control, which was basically only 20 rats, 10 female and 10 male, out of 200 rats. That is not a very large sample size to reference. And you cannot state from this one case that GMOs are unhealthy and unsafe to humans, because for GMOs to be unsafe to humans, these experiments must be repeated and have the same results over and over. Now, the second major problem with this case is that the rats that were used in this experiment were highly prone to cancer. And one of the major problems in this experiment conducted by Sarah Meany is that rats that were fed Roundup and GMOs on different concentrations did not correlate, meaning that if in this experiment, rats that were fed 33% of their diet with GMOs versus 11%, the 11% of the rats that had 11% of GMO crops in their diet died more than the group with 33%. Now, furthermore, onto the case about the environment. There is no evidence of the likelihood of, there is no evidence presented by the affirmative of the likelihood of insects evolving into an invasive species. They stated the possibility, but out of what likelihood can this happen? And there needs to be a stronger case on how severe these potential problems can occur. Now, if the likelihood is relatively small, I think there is no substantial reason why we should ban GMOs. For one reason, that it's extremely impractical, because according to the Huffington Post, our #1 crop in the United States is corn, and 88% of our corn that we grow are genetically modified. Now, 93% of the soy we grow is genetically modified. 94% of the cotton seed we grow is genetically modified. Now, if we were to ban GMOs, how would we transition between in our agriculture? This is an extremely large problem, because if we were to ban GMOs, what would happen to our agriculture? What would be the next step? They had no proper proposition for this, and we cannot simply pass this proposition that GMOs should be banned. And also that our economy, our agricultural economy, is dependent on GMOs, because the largest seed seller in the world is Monsanto, which is 23%. and DuPont, which is 15%, which are both American companies. Now, if we were to ban GMOs, what would become of these companies? What would happen to our the state of our agriculture? So this is an extreme potential problem that the affirmative must address, including further substantiating their claims that GMOs are unhealthy, because according to CNN, major health groups such as the World Health Organization and American Medical Association, and in addition, American Association for the Advanced Sciences, both noted that for the past 20 years, humans have been consuming GMOs, and nothing has been reported so far that GMOs are unhealthy. In fact, why state these control groups or experiments done to animals when the largest sample size in an experiment is humans itself? We have been consuming GMOs for 20 years, and we have not reported any substantial side effects from consuming GMOs. And for the argument that because the FDA imposed safety regulations on GMOs that cause them to be unhealthy, and which for the argument that we should ban GMOs because FDA has safety regulations to release these GMOs into the market, that is not a good case to say that GMOs should ban, because this poses as a safety net in case anything that companies have to prevent potential dangerous modifications that may be presented.
No.